Hello, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class. Today we are going to decode the concept of one nation, one election. If we are one as a nation, why do we need to have different elections? For the union government and the different state governments, we are going to discuss that. In the backdrop of certain very important developments that have happened in the past 24 hours, we are going to discuss it from the perspective of concept, fact, and speculation as well. So you're in for a very comprehensive class today. Make sure that you subscribe to my Telegram channel, that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC, so that you can get all the important PDFs that I use over here to teach. Other than this, if you want to talk to me about this examination or any doubts that you have, you can talk to me on my Instagram as well. Those students who have missed the opportunity of enrolling themselves in the P2I batches of July and August, they can take the new opportunity of morning classes that are starting from 11th of September. Whatever batch you are choosing, Hindi, English or English, is all comprehensive. It is going to get you not only prepared for the UPSC prelims, mains, but also the interview. We are providing you prelims test series, mains test series, daily answer writing practice, CSAT, essay, language papers, everything is included over here. So you can definitely take part in this particular enrollment program. If you qualify UPSC Prelims 2024, you will be called to the StudyIQ campus so that you can prepare there for 4 months without any sort of distraction for the mains examination. Then we will prepare you for the interviews as well. I personally vouch for this particular batch. So please be a participant. Take the admission. 11th of September is the date, and make sure you use the code PDLive so that you can get this course at a discounted price from 70,000 at 29,999. For any other course that you are choosing, use the code PDLive as well. Moving on. So this is the roadmap that we have to follow. First of all, let's talk about the news. Ex-President Ramnath Kovind will head a panel in order to explore the pros, cons and way forward for one nation, one election. Recently, we saw that a special session of the Parliament is being called from 18th September to 22nd of September. That there are high speculations what it could be for. It could be for implementing the Uniform Civil Code. It could be for passing a legislation with respect to population or women reservation, or even the one nation, one election bill can be introduced. See, many people are speculating that agenda has not been given right now, right? That is why many people are speculating because of the coalition India, the government is now trying to bring a one nation, one election bill. We do not know as of yet, we can just speculate. But still, because a committee has been formulated, a panel has been formulated, and this comes just ahead, way ahead of the upcoming special session. We are going to discuss that. Okay, so what is one nation, one election? It's an idea which suggests that the election for the Lok Sabha as well as the various state legislative assemblies should happen in a synchronized manner. The voting can occur even on a single day or in a particular phase that a week has been allotted. So this is one nation, one election. There are many benefits and many drawbacks to it. There are also history and background. There is also history and background related to it. So everything will be discussed in that particular manner. Okay, so if we talk about the election procedure since independence, if from 1951 to 1952 and so on till 1967, elections happened in a synchronized manner. For this, we had a reason. First of all, the dominance of the Congress party, because as a new country, we did not have a lot of choice. We knew that this particular coalition, or we can say this particular group, that was Congress before independence. That made us independent. This was the thought process. And hence, because we had a very strong Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru ji, he ensured that the government is stable not only at the center but also the states. Because of that, we could see that a single party could tap the potential in not only the center but also the states. And that stability has helped us. That stability has helped India a lot to get on its feet as a newborn baby. So that is why a stability was provided. But when the political landscape started changing, that ensured that we have different elections. New parties started emerging. new regional issues started emerging, new fragments of the diversity started emerging. And that created a notion that a center party, a party which is in dominance of the center, doesn't mean that it has to be in dominance of the other regions as well. So we had a synchronized elections. But for the first time ever, we saw that Kerala became one of those states where the synchronization was broken. In 1959, when the center invoked Article 356 of the Constitution in order to dismiss the ministry which was headed by EMS Nambudiri Pad of the Communist Party. After that, states after states, they saw different sorts of government, different sorts of regional parties, different sorts of political landscapes, such as in Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, Punjab, West Bengal, Odisha, Madras, Kerala in the 1967 elections. After that, we also saw the dissolution of the Lok Sabha. So the elections, which were very much synchronized in an unsaid manner, saw that fragmentation has started to take place. And that is why we started having different elections for not only the center, but also the states. Now, moving ahead, if we talk about this as a notion, we have to understand that Election Commission was in favor and still is in favor in principle about the concept of one nation, one election. In 1983, Election Commission said that this system can be worked out. Even the Law Commission said that in 1999 that we must have one nation, one election. We must try to synchronize our election because it is costing us a lot. It is causing policy breakdown. It is also causing administrative inefficiency. So it said that we must go back to the situation where the elections to the Lok Sabha and all the legislative assemblies are held at once. The government wasn't in favor of it. The government was not at all in favor of it. But politically, if we have any political developments, we are seeing that in 2003, the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he took up the issue with Congress President Sonia Gandhi ji. And she was in favor of it earlier. But she never, implemented it. Not only that, in 2010, BJP leader L.K. Advani also met the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and he said that he wrote in his blog that both the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, back then it was Pranab Dar, they both were in favor and very receptive to this idea of having one nation, one election, because it costed a lot on the exchequer. It had so many drawbacks. So that is why we will go through the drawbacks as well. So that is why politically also political convergence is very necessary whenever we talk about certain legislations that have to be made. The government may bring a legislation, but we are not sure of it because 12 state assemblies are going to go in elections in the upcoming months and years. Of course, before that, we have to ensure we have a proper legislation. Then only we can move forward. So maybe it could be a possibility, we do not know as of yet, that this bill could be introduced. A bill could be introduced. Now, arguments in favor of conducting one nation, one election. Biggest thing is that cutting down the cost. Do you know that according to a report in 2009, about 1,115 crores were spent in the Lok Sabha election. In 2014 election, it was 3,870 crore. It is also being said that in 2019 it was much more, and this was not only incurred in the conduct of the elections by the election commission, but also this amount of money that was spent by different political parties for conducting rallies and all the advertisement. So time and again, it's a lot. If it is being done not only on the central level but also the state legislative assembly levels, then it all adds up. And that is the biggest argument in favor of conducting one nation, one election. But this will also help in focusing on governance rather than just being in a constant election mode. We see that major ministers of our cabinet are most of the time they are engaged in election rallies, not only for the Lok Sabha but different state legislative assemblies. And that creates a problem for proper governance. They are not able to dedicate that amount of attention to their ministries. And this is the second argument. Then increase voter turnout because it will be more easy for the people to cast many ballots at once. Yes. This is also one of the arguments in favor. Also, it would be more convenient because people may not have to take off from their work all the time, first for the union government election, then for the state legislative assembly election. But there are drawbacks to it as well. Other than this, administrative efficiency will not be hampered because of different, electoral duties. People from the administration and the security forces have to be deployed at booths and they have election duties. So that will also be reduced. So these are the many reasons. Also, if we talk about the against ones, why shouldn't we conduct this? First is that we need a lot of legislative will, political will, and convergence between the parties, different parties of India, so that a proper legislation can be formulated and passed. And different amendments have to be done, specifically in the Representation of People's Act, different rules have to be amended. Then there is also issue of regional parties. Regional parties, they try to win on the grounds of regional issues. When we talk about only one election, national issues will shadow the regional issues. And this could be a problem. Regional parties will start dying. And also that is not healthy for a democracy because India is a very different country. It is a very diverse country. Every region has their own problem, be it economic, be it social. So the good representatives who want to represent their particular constituencies and get the issues resolved, they might also get shadowed. So this is another issue. Same party can be there for the center as well as the same state. According to a study that was conducted in 2015, it was found out that 77% of the people will vote for the same party at the center and the state if one nation, one election happens. And that, of course, is not healthy in the long run. Maybe a party that is doing good at the center cannot do enough for the states because it is not very well versed with the problems of the region. So these are these certain arguments against. But let's see what happens. What is the notion since recent times? I'm going to talk about from the revival of the idea since 2014, when the current ruling came into the power. It ensured that one of the agendas would be to conduct one nation, one election. So the call and clamor for one nation, one election has been there since 2014. So in 2015, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personnel, Public Grievances, Law and Justice, which was headed by E.M. Sudarsana Najiappan, they said, this particular committee said that if we conduct one nation, one election, it will reduce the massive expenditure that is incurred on conducting the elections, reduce the policy paralysis. Why? How is policy paralysis reduced? See, whenever elections are to happen, the model code of conduct comes into the picture. And the model code of conduct dictates, please do not start any new policies or projects. So what happens then, the projects that should be in continuity, that should have had a way ahead of, of its time, so that more people can be engaged in employment, more policy can be reaching to those people who need it, that policy paralysis happens. So that could also be discontinued once a new government comes. So this is the reason why this committee said it. Reduce impact on delivery of essential services. As I told you, security forces and administrative forces, they have to be on electoral duties just to ignore their essential services. This is their duty that they have to do. So that is also one thing. Reduce the burden on crucial manpower that is deployed during election time. This is actually almost the same thing. Sunil Arora ji said in 2019 that the Election Commission would be supportive of the idea. That wasn't a bureaucratic statement, but an in-principle approval. That means they are giving a yes to the idea. They were nodding to the idea that yes, this could be talked about by different state legislative assemblies, and the political parties, they have to legislate in a manner that we can have one nation, one election. So the Election Commission is very, enthused about this. But we have to understand that in present time, assembly elections in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, they are held together with the Lok Sabha elections. So we can take a good lesson from it. But why is it easier now to hold simultaneous elections? Earlier we saw the policy of Ayaram Gayaram that was related to the anti-defection law. That sometimes you be in this party, sometimes you be in that party. So what happens? That the sanctity of the party used to be challenged. We had anti-defection law, and because of anti-defection law, the 10th schedule, first is the anti-defection law. one cannot change the party often until and unless certain conditions are fulfilled for merger and split. So anti-defection law has helped to stabilize the state legislative assemblies as well as the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Second is the decision that has been done by the Supreme Court for the President's Rule, SC decisions, that certain reasons should be very well holding water whenever a President's rule is imposed in any state. And also it will be reviewed judicially. So judicial review is also one of the important things that has helped to stabilize our political landscape. So these are the two reasons why we see that more stability is there as compared to the previous years. So that is why it is a good time that we think about one nation, one election. See, has there been any effort to ensure that whatever problems are there, whatever the drawbacks are there, they do not occur? In 2018, the Law Commission, which was headed by Justice B.S. Chauhan, they said that simultaneous elections could not be held within the existing framework of the Constitution. And that brings us to the part where we can speculate that maybe the government is trying to bring a bill. We do not know as of yet, but we can just speculate. They said that through appropriate amendments to the Constitution, it can be done. When Representation of the People Act 1951 will be amended, certain rules and procedures of the Lok Sabha will be amended. This could be done. And at least 50% of the states may ratify the constitutional amendment. So these all have to be fulfilled. All elections due in a calendar be conducted together for this. But what about no confidence? If a motion of no confidence is passed and adopted, then the government will collapse. So here also the Law Commission was a visionary. It said that we have to replace the no confidence motion with a constructive vote of no confidence. Now what is this? Constructive vote of no confidence is an idea that says that the current government against whom the Parliament has passed the no confidence, it can resign only when the substitution for that government will have the confidence of the Parliament. That means if X has to resign, we have to ensure that Y, which is going to replace X, also has the confidence of the Parliament. So it was a visionary. Until and unless all this is done, we can just speculate. See, a government of such majority like the BJP right now, NDA we would call it, it has enough majority and that doesn't need the sanction of the Parliament to defer the election for the next 6 months, which are another sort of speculation, another rounds of speculations that are going on. Parliamentary sanctions are needed when one has to pass a bill. Generally, it is for that. So we are yet to see what is going to happen. Now, moving on, if I talk about what can be done as a way forward, now until and unless all the parties come together to deliberate on it, nothing can be done. Also, we have to ensure that the bill is properly scrutinized, the bill is properly debated, the bill is properly negotiated. Then only any bill should be passing. And this is not for this particular one nation, one election bill, but everything else. So the political, legal, as well as the constitutional will, until and unless that occurs, one cannot go ahead with a fundamental change like this. It is yet to be seen. Thank you so much for watching.